Back. I'm Abby Hagyard. I'm going to click a thing here and then we can get started. Okay. I'm going to see if I can preempt the problem here. And I have. What is today, for heaven's sake? It is the 23rd of April. And this is episode 247. And I think I figured out a tech thing. Okay, I have to take a sip of coffee. I've got something in my tooth. Oh, now what is going on here? Can't post messages to some channels. Why not? Okay, I'm going to assume everything's okay. Show. All right, it says it's working. I hope it's working. We'll find out in a minute if it's working. Hang on, you know what? Give me 1 second. I am so excited about this topic. Well, good morning, Muriel. Yes! How exciting is that? Okay, so it's 10 o'clock, 10:01, and it is the 23rd of April, and it's 2024, and this is my 247th video, inviting people to consider the value in getting involved. Good morning, Freddie. Freddie, good morning. How are you? I've been thinking about you every day. So big hug, big hug, okay? The conversation that I'm going to have today was on my mind for a while now. And then suddenly, an oven, suddenly out of the clear blue of the western sky, the most extraordinary thing happened last week. And it resulted immediately in a great deal of flailing on my part. And a lot of very, very nice people, kind people, intelligent people, caring people, people who are willing to lean in a crisis, emerging from who knows where, from the ether. And with their support, with their understanding, with their, yes, I understand this is a terrible thing. Here, let me help you with that. With all of those small bits of encouragement and support and leaning in, it was less terrifying for me to deal with because, I got a busy office here, but I'm the only one in it, right? And I have a beautiful apartment and I'm the only one in it. And I have beautiful, wonderful, compassionate, caring people who own the building I'm living in, but they're not my family. So having people, good morning, Charles. Oh, how wonderful to see you all. It is not their job. It is not their duty. It is not their love. It is not their first priority to say, oh my gosh, Abby's in trouble. What can we do? They make that choice because they've chosen to care. Thank you, Charles. They made that choice, all of them last week, because they have chosen to care about things in their lives. They have chosen to opt in. And they have also chosen not to be a victim, not to say, well, nobody likes me. And I'm saying that in that tone, not that I mean that people like that are not trying. I mean that they've chosen to be there. They have chosen that feeling, that mindset, that mood. All the reasons are entirely valid. The point is, it's not a prison. The door is not locked. They can leave any time. Do they need help? Yes. Are we here to help them? Yes. That's what this is all about. If you want to set yourself free, you got to do the work. And we are here to help you, show you around the place, show you where your desk is, help you with the calisthenics in the morning and the break and the afternoon and where to go after work to get together and say what a day that was. We are all in this together if we choose. So very briefly, what happened to me last week was one of those perfect storms. I call it the tent peg effect. Every night, every morning, you need to check that the ropes are tight on the pegs that hold your tent up, because otherwise it becomes a tumbleweed. And when you come back from wherever you went, you got nothing. So the reason we do this is because we want to look after ourselves and our things. That's the whole point. The tent peg effect is you don't just tap in your peg, and you don't just do it from the inside of the tent looking out. You have to go on the outside and you have to circle the tent and figure out if everything is okay from all the angles that matter. Check the prevailing wind, all of the things that matter to everyone involved with the tent. So the tent peg effect is what happens when somebody didn't do that. And if you have a random storm, you get a very interesting outcome. So just to give you the backstory to make it real, is that I got hacked in February. I got hacked, and it was the 1-year anniversary of the death of my very sweet friend Dave, and I was dealing with a lot of emotion there, and probably I wasn't paying attention. And I'm still dealing with, because I'm the executor, I'm dealing with all of his legal stuff and financial stuff, and sell the house and fix this and do that and travel back and forth and meet all kinds of people. And it's exhausting and it's distracting. And it's a reminder of things that are not done yet. And that clouds your vision for the things that we are meant to do now and the things that we're planning. And I'm fully aware of this. I am the one who says the definition of multitasking is doing many things badly. And one way we multitask is we don't let go of something we're thinking about, feeling about, while we're trying to do this. As a result, this doesn't get a perfect score. Our attention and intention doesn't get a perfect score. The outcome doesn't get a perfect score. So I'm giving the people at the other end of this the benefit of the doubt that that was what was also happening to them. Mine was my moment in time. So I got hacked, and I raced to the bank, and I said, what do I do? They got into my computer and they've accessed my bank records, my bank online. And they said, it happens so often, you wouldn't believe it. Don't feel bad. Don't feel guilty. Don't burden yourself. And what we're going to do is the account that the money all comes out of, we're going to freeze that. We're not going to close it. We're going to freeze it so that nobody can get anything else out. And then we'll open you a new account. And we give you all the paperwork, and you have to go and see all the people, or email all the people, or fax all the people the document that says this is the new account. So we did that. Problem solved. Well, almost. As it turned out, one of the people involved had done something in their processes, in their procedures, in their business, at their end, from their point of view. And their committee had agreed to it. And the person and the company and the institution in question was the lender used by the car dealership where I bought my beautiful copper car. So I went to see the car dealership. I handed them the document. I said, please make sure that the lender gets this new information. Here's what happened. Oh my gosh, commiseration, so sorry. And after all you've been through, it was very nice. It was very touching. And in front of me, their finance manager faxed the document. In front of me, he received the read receipt. In front of me, he got the email confirmation that the information was delivered. On the other end, the lending institution neglected to correctly and completely inform all of the car dealers they deal with that they had established a new protocol when you submit updated financial information on behalf of your buyers. And as a result, When mine went through, it was ignored. So was ignored my current address. So was ignored my current phone number. They didn't contact the dealer when the first car payment bounced. They didn't contact the dealer to find out if they knew anything was wrong. That was their immediate point of contact. They didn't reach out to me by email. They called the wrong number. They sent correspondence to an address I don't use. They didn't contact their immediate point of contact. 2 months go by. It's not a lot of money. I didn't buy an expensive car. It's got a rock star paint job, but it's not an expensive car. All of a sudden, on my birthday last week, I get a phone call. There was a bailiff here. I didn't let him take your car. I have his number. Do you want it? Blink. Yes. Call. Bailiff, very nice, very kind, told me what had happened. I told him what had happened. He said, oh my God, okay. I'm going to file the report with all your information. We will be able to fix this. You will not be in trouble. You will, however, have to pay penalties and fines. Why? I didn't do anything wrong. I got hacked. I fixed it. What happened? The tent peg effect. I see. So the next 4 days, frantically, because I was told if I did not resolve this successfully by Friday, I would not only lose my car, I would lose my credit rating, and I could be at risk of going to court. Gosh, what was first prize? So I had a very, very unsettled weekend. Why? Oh, because they didn't get back to me when I sent in all the documents they asked for, the same day I was asked for them. I contacted half a dozen people. Everything was put on, please wait till the end of time while the music plays, until finally somebody answered and said, due to an unprecedented number of issues like this, we are behind in forwarding the information. You will receive it Monday, if not Monday, Tuesday, if not Tuesday, call me back. I wonder why they were receiving an unprecedented number of these things. I wonder. So I did eventually hear from them. And when I spoke to the people at the car dealership, they were horrified. They had certainly done their investigation, and they are very kindly, generously, and by the way, correctly, honorably taking care of the penalties and fines, on top of reimburse the car payments that didn't go through. I'm happy to do that. Money's been there. So the reason I tell you this is because nothing else I'm doing had my full attention. In the same way that nothing else I was doing had my full attention when Dave got sick. I put everything on hold and drove up and down highways to hospitals and sat there and listened to doctors try to speak in a language I understand to explain to me what was going on. And when Dave died, I kept going through the same process, talking to lawyers, talking to banks, talking to funerals parlors and movers, getting me out of one province to another and finding a place to live, all in this kind of flurry and blurry of what on earth is going on. I had nothing left. I had no time, no focus, no ability to lean into all of my other responsibilities. The only thing I could do was reach out to everyone I could think of and say, kind of busy, terribly sorry, give me a moment, I'll be back. And I said it repeatedly. because I didn't want people to think I didn't care. And I didn't want people to think I had given up. And I didn't want people to think that I had stopped choosing to be who I am and who I hope we all can be, which is positive and empowered and excited about our opportunities. Challenged, yes. Hurt sometimes, scared, frequently, exhausted, but excited nonetheless. That's where I want to be. Most of the time, and I'm sorry, little teary. It's not tears of sorrow, it's tears of frustration, and also tears of relief, because there is a happy ending. There is a happy ending. And the happy ending is we see this pile of people and we keep pulling them up and talking to them and figuring out how to get them to face me and see me and hear me when I'm talking to them, when I'm trying to wake up what is inside them, so that what I say to them resonates with them and they say, oh my God, this could be me. Yesterday, when I finally got all of the information I needed, I went to my bank. I took the amount of money that was required. I went to the bank, the institution that was the person on the ground for this lender. And I walked in and I explained the situation. I had all the documents and I had my identification. I explained what had happened. And they said, oh, okay. And they behaved as though this had never happened to them before. And this is at the bank used by that lender, so overwhelmed by so many of these requests and redeeming invoices. These people at this bank looked like they'd never seen it before and didn't know what to do. So when they took my money and they gave me a receipt, it was a receipt. There was no bank transit number on it. There was no reference number on it to the issue at hand. It didn't indicate anything except this many dollars on this day at this time at that branch. And I said, okay, now on the back, I want the bank officer to sign it with his officer number. I want a stamped receipt, and I want the number that is written on the invoice that I gave you, written by you and initialed by you on that piece of paper. And do you know what the teller said to me? Why? Well, good morning, Mike. Why? The teller said, why? And I took a deep breath and I smiled. I didn't pause to drink coffee, but it would have helped, I can tell you. I paused and I said, you're probably not old enough to really understand this, but my husband died. And then I got hacked and I lost money. And in the process, and I explained the whole thing to this girl whose eyes were big and wide. And I paused at one point and I said, have you ever had a tragedy in your family? And she said, yes. I said, okay, then you know exactly how I feel and how terrified I am. And she nodded her head and her eyes were really wide. And I thought, gotcha. Now I've pulled you out of wherever the hell that was. And now I have you facing me and hearing me. So when I then said, I want to speak to the officer, and the officer came and I explained, and his eyes got big as well. And I said, now I am alone. The only people I have who can help me to make me feel safe are you and you. What is your name? What is your name? My name is. And I shook their hands and I said, now, would you please do as I ask? Would you please stamp it, initial it, identify it, reference it to the number, so that when I go home and I take a screenshot and I send it to the people who are so overwhelmed that they can't remember their middle names, I can help them see where this is supposed to go. Can you do that for me, with me? And the bank officer said, absolutely. And he did everything I asked. And he was very kind and he was very nice. And the teller's eyes were this big the whole time. And at the end of it, I said, you have just made me very happy. And I no longer feel afraid. Thank you. And I stood there and I waited for them to say or do something. And they both smiled. And they both said, kind of in unison, you're welcome. And then the officer said, can I give you our card in case you ever think of coming and dealing with our bank? And I said, of course you can. And of course I won't. And I thanked them and I walked out and I thanked the security guard at the door. And then I walked home and I got home and I sat down and I said to myself, and then I did everything I needed to do, photocopy this, screenshot that, include a copy of my driver's license, so maybe they'll finally update the address to send correspondence to me. I included my phone number, and I reminded them that their point of contact is the car dealership, and I gave that number. And then I sent a copy of everything to every single person down the line that I had dealt with for a week, including the finance manager of the car dealership. Why did I do that? Why overkill? I also, by the way, contacted the bailiff and told him what had happened and how the happy ending was turning out. First thing this morning, message from the bailiff. I love a happy ending. Now, that's the backstory, and it took me 20 minutes to do it, and I apologize. We have all had that story. We have all had a version of that happen to us. All it takes for a disaster is someone choosing the wrong option, plus an unexpected incident. That's all it takes. The person choosing not to do everything they're supposed to do, that's the tent peg effect. Wobbly tent. Didn't matter. It's okay. I'm dry on the inside. God, I hate my job. Can't wait till it's, what time? Is it 5 o'clock yet? I'm working for the weekend. Have you heard anybody say things like that? Have you heard you say things like that? Stop saying things like that. Stop saying things like that. Why? This. It cost me the equivalent of 4 car payments for the penalties and the fines and the fees for no reason. And a stern warning at my whatever it was. So my question today, the topic today, do we say, I choose you? Or do we say, please choose me? If we say, I choose you, why are we saying that? If we say, please choose me, why are we saying that? Do you want other people to validate you? Please choose me. If they don't know you, why should they? What motivation are you giving them? What's in it for them? What is their with them song? And nobody likes me. I wish somebody would like me. Okay, give them a reason to like you. Choose you, package you, present you, find the person, look them in the eye, invite them to hear you so that they want to choose you. They choose themselves to get engaged and involved and connected and caring and motivated so that they can choose you. They can choose to fix you. I left absolutely nothing that I can think of undone so that any person who has chosen to opt out on the other end of whatever that was has no excuse. Oh, I didn't realize you this. Oh, really? Well, it was the first attachment. Oh, I didn't see the attachments. I listed the attachments in the body of the email. Oh, right. What? Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. That's right. That's right. Well, I wasn't sure if you'd attach them. Did you look at the bottom of the screen? Well, it's just been so busy here. Okay. That's the sound of somebody opting out. That's the sound of somebody walking away. That's the sound of somebody showing up without showing up. That's the sound of somebody multitasking and doing many things very badly. God help us if that's the person in charge at the bottom of the page at the end of the day. God help us if that's the sign-off signature. So when I went to bed last night, I took out a piece of paper and I listed everything I was grateful for. The big thing I was grateful for was the wake-up call that way too many of us have hit a wall. And we can't get up. And even if we could get up, we're not sure it's worth the effort, because the last time we got up, this happened. And a lot of us are carrying this trauma and have been carrying it for a long time. And we may have been carrying it for as long as it took for us to get our first set of marching instructions. And we opened the instruction, we found them incomplete. You know, I began my life with a set of instructions that were incomplete. And in the empty spaces, I had well-meaning notes and clever asides. I didn't actually have any navigation tools. I'm not alone. I'm not saying poor Abby. I'm saying I got something that had pages missing. I had choices. I didn't want to not make it. I had a chance, a fresh chance, lucky me, every year or so, when the military picked us up and put us over here and dropped us someplace new. I had a whole new chance to figure out what to do over and over till I got fairly good at it. This is why I'm doing this. I know how this works. And even I who know how this works, I just went through this. And in February, when I got hacked, holy lifting, what a disaster that was. On top of all the emotions I was feeling. Somebody said, have you finished your spring cleaning? Almost. Yeah, first I got to get up off the kitchen floor where I have been lying face down against the cool tiles. Then I'll finish my spring cleaning. Don't ask about my taxes. They're in a pile. I'll get to them. If this is happening to somebody like me, somebody with all the positivity she can muster, if this is happening to somebody like me on my birthday, it's happening to everybody. Why is it happening to everybody? It's happening because we know we got hit by something. We know it hurt. We know it scared us. We know it exhausted us. We know it left us feeling uncertain. The first big time I got hit by something, I found myself, for the first time and the only time in my life, I found myself second guessing my choices. I have never second guessed. Why not? Am I that confident? I'm that careful. I'm that focused. I'm that purposed. I'm that goal oriented. Second guessing terrified me. It took a lot of time and a lot of work to figure my way back out of that. And a lot of us are doing that. A lot of us are just saying, I kind of don't care, frankly. I'd rather sleep in my car. I'd rather do a nothing job. I'd rather take less and have less than be expected to do more and bring more and be more. What a tragedy. What an incredible tragedy. And the reason I'm asking the question, the reason it's so important, I had my identity stolen once. It took me over 2 years to clear everything up. Oh, honey, Oh, honey, I am so sorry. What a nightmare. I'm so glad it's over. And I'm so glad it's something to talk about as a warning to be careful. What was this here? Warm coffee, that's something to be careful of. Something. Yeah, some people don't even have clean drinking water. You're absolutely right. Freddie, it is called accountability. You're absolutely right. What those people are letting go of is accountability. What those people are unable and unwilling to do at this moment for whatever the reasons, they are unable or unwilling to see beyond the immediate impact. They made an internal decision to do something, and no one took the time to make sure that the internal decision that we all agree to is communicated properly to all the people it affects. They didn't do that. They didn't communicate it effectively. They didn't ask for confirmation. They just assumed. So is that a lack of accountability? Or is it a lack of imagination? Is it a lack of forward thinking? Is it an assumption that we got this without doing the work? Is it exhaustion? The phrase that I came up with when I was dealing with a financial institution a year ago was indifference and incompetence combined. They knew they weren't doing it well. And they said, you know what, it's good enough. So the conversation in all of this, banks can be aggravating. Yes, been there, done it, and didn't get the t-shirt. What is this thing, Patrick? Once in my life, I put my coffee in the right, I open the door and have the handle with, Isn't that the funny thing? Patrick has just shared with us an example of this in action, not as dramatic as mine, every bit as frustrating. He said, if you haven't seen his comment, he heats his coffee in the microwave once it's cooled in the morning. And no matter, and he likes the handle facing him because he would like to pick it up by the handle because the mug is hot. But no matter how he positions it, no matter how long he pushes the timing for, it always stops with the handle at the back. He can't figure it out. Why didn't somebody fix that? It's a brilliant question. I'm with you. When you designed it, did you not check? Is it a matter of extra weight where the handle is? Could you not correct that in the design phase? Presumably the engineer who was responsible for the final check doesn't drink coffee, doesn't drink hot beverages. Who knows? Good point. And so important, Patrick. It sounds frivolous and it sounds silly when I'm talking about, losing money and losing reputation and possibly losing my credit. And we've got somebody talking about losing their identity because of, it's stolen and hackers and all this. It also matters that if you put the cup in that way, you'd like it to be that way when you take it back out. Reasonable question, reasonable ask. Why doesn't somebody fix it? Because it is a simple win. We all know these things are simple wins. So the conversation today, am I saying I choose you? Or are we saying yes to the first person who says, hey, we're all going here? Oh, okay. Oh, they chose me. Yes, they're all hired killers. I wonder why they chose you. Why are we so grateful to accept an offer without investigating, without vetting? Instead of saying, I am so grateful that you found a lender, I should have said, who is the lender? And who are their people? And I would like to speak to the person in charge. And how are you going to treat me? That's what I should have done. Did I do that? No. Why not? Oh, I don't know. Overwhelmed. Grateful that I could buy a car at all. So is it on me? Partly. All of this is partly on me, on us, when we don't do the due diligence, when we say good enough. It is part of us. We are in the equation. Are we on the page? Is our name on the page? It's been dramatic for you in the last few days. Niece in an accident. Nephew had his heart stopped while getting his mail. Oh, goodness gracious, Charles. So this is the thing I want us to talk about, and I want us to think about for us selfishly, and for us collectively, and for us as we move forward and we learn the steps and the tools and the techniques to take these turning point moments and make them work for us rather than be victimized by them. Okay? This is the important, pivotal stuff. We can't ask everybody on a scale of 1 to 10, how present and accounted for are you today? How distracted are you? What happened to you yesterday? How are you feeling? How's your love life? Did you eat yesterday? Did you sleep? We don't have, we do have the time. It's crazy though. How then do we make sure that the people we're dealing with are dealing with us? And I can only tell you what I do. And I know that it works. I always find a way to ask a personal question or to say something personal or comment on their words, their attitudes, their actions in a way that surprises them in a positive way and makes them laugh. One of the many people that I spoke to last week about this whole unfortunate, I just need to find the person who needs the money so I can make sure they get it. And the third person I phoned, asked me how to spell my name because they didn't know what to do with it. And I burst out laughing. And I said, and I said, you're not the first. And do you have any idea how many times I wished that my parents had changed their names to Jane and John Doe so that I could be Mary Doe? And there was a blink of silence, and then the person burst out laughing. And she said, oh, wait till I tell you my last name. And then we both had a laugh at it. Now, immediately after that laugh, we were not having the conversation that we had started having. Blah, 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 blah. How may I help you? How may I direct a call? We weren't having that conversation. And after that laugh, I said, I think it's very important that this call may be recorded for training purposes, because laughter is a way to make sure people are listening and caring about the instructions. And she said, I couldn't agree with you more. And from that point, I got her name, I got her direct number, I got her explaining to me what the delays were, what I had to do, how I had to do it, what I needed to be ready and willing to wait for and calm down. And when I got off the phone with that woman, it was Friday afternoon. And she had said, if you don't hear from anybody by the end of day, don't be surprised. We're really backlogged. And I didn't say, well, whose fault was that? I didn't do any of that. I said, oh my gosh, it must be overwhelming. And she said, it is, because so many people, she said, very few people I'm talking to are as friendly and understanding as you are. And I appreciate you for doing that. And I did not say, well, if somebody hadn't dropped the ball, everybody would be a lot more willing to be present and positive and forgiving, because mistakes happen. However, when a form letter is sent out that sounds like you're going to be arrested if you're caught on the street walking your dog, you shouldn't be surprised that you're going to get a fair amount of anxiety and anger and frustration. And how dare you? Well, it's a form letter. You know what? You can change a form letter. It's called a computer. Re-enter the data, and Bob's your uncle. Oh, I know. We just have so many. So a key phrase I'm sharing with you, a key phrase, remember it, write it down if you have to, think about it, watch me do it, hear the tone of my voice. So blah, 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 hopeful, positive, helpful, idea, instruction, advice. Ready? Oh, I know, but it's just, did you see that? Closed their eyes, shook their heads, shrugged their shoulders, and mouthed the words, why, yes, I understand. Thank you so much. But what they were saying was, you know what? You're wasting your time. Oh, I know, but they don't want the advice. They want to stay stuck where they are doing what they do. Why? It requires no extra effort. The minute they say it, you are the only one having the conversation. They are waiting for you to stop. And they're too polite to just hang up. And they might not even be too polite. They're being recorded for training purposes. They can't hang up. Remember that phrase. That is a key tell. A tell is a physical mannerism that tells you what people are doing, really doing. Not what they're saying, what they're doing. Oh, I know, but they're not listening and they don't appreciate what you just said because they're not going to do it. Because they would rather stay stuck than take on the responsibility. Even if the reason they're stuck was something painful that they didn't deserve, even if it has been hardwired from birth, we all have hardwiring from birth. We all were taught things that weren't correct, that weren't helpful, that weren't appropriate. We all have. We all carry them. We all make mistakes because of them. It is still, at the end of the day, up to us to decide whether I'm going to choose you or I'm going to be pathetically grateful because you chose me. Oh my God, they chose me. Oh my God, you like me. No, we had an empty seat on the boat. And if we don't fill that seat, the boat is off balance and will sink in a storm. You're dead weight. Get in the boat. What? So, which one are you choosing? Are you even aware that you're choosing? When you walk into a room, are you nervous? Are you shy? Are you embarrassed? Are you saying, oh my God, I wonder what people are thinking? Oh my God, I'm so embarrassed. Why are you embarrassed? Well, I mean, what are they thinking? That means you think they are judging you. You think they have the power and the position and the privilege and the authority to judge you. And if they judge you negatively, they won't choose you. And you will be kicked out of the cave where the saber-toothed whatnots live, and you will die. Oh, I hope they like me. Oh, do I look okay in this? You are looking for other people's approval to validate you. They're too busy looking for other people's approval to validate them to look at you. They're too busy saying good enough. Is it Friday yet? Is it 5 o'clock yet? They're not even in the room. And you're standing there looking all hopeful. The way we want you to be standing, the way we want you to be walking into the room is positive, excited, curious, a little uncertain. You've never been there. The thing I want to know first is where's the bathroom? Then I'll come back. I want to know if I can hang up my coat. Are there chairs? I don't expect anyone to automatically gravitate to me. Why? In spite of this, in spite of this, in spite of, I once was in a bar with some people and I was waiting to be served and I was waiting to be served and I was waiting to be served. And the bartender was serving everybody around me. And I said, hello, hi, how you doing? And he stopped and he looked at me. He said, oh my God. And then he said the most interesting thing. I didn't see you there. And I blinked and I burst out laughing. And the three people with me burst out laughing. And he said, what? And one of the people with me said, oh, really? You didn't see her standing there? Who's more colorful? And the guy said, what can I say? I'm colorblind. So did not see that coming. Entirely valid. I said, okay, when I come back, I'm going to hold the sign. I'm standing here. Ooh. He said, not a bad idea. So we go out into the world thinking that everybody is looking at us, that everybody is thinking about us, that we are the odd man out, that we are getting it wrong, that we probably don't qualify and we don't know what to do next. And so maybe we should just stay home. You know what? Why don't I stay home? Why don't I just stay in bed? Why get up? In fact, why don't I stay under the bed? That way, just in case anything happens, why don't we just do that? Why don't we opt out? Well, except that you said you would do the job and you said you would show up and you said you would complete the tasks. Oh yeah, that. Well, I don't want to know when I'm working. I want to know when I'm off. Granted. However, did you accept the job? Yes. Then you got to do the work in order to get paid. Fine then. What do you do for fun? Fun? Who has fun anymore? There you go. People are choosing to opt out. What they're not choosing to do is vacate the seat they're sitting in, vacate the space they're taking up so that somebody who has opted in can take that place. Nobody is paying attention to the now what when everybody says people just aren't willing to work anymore. People are quitting. It's hard to find good help. We're putting up signs. They show up, they don't want to work. They come for a day, they change their minds. We're spending all this time interviewing people. Everybody just wants to know what the benefits are and when they can retire. Nobody's interested in learning the job. Nobody's proud of a job well done. Really? Well, why do you think that is? Do you think it's maybe because people aren't training them? Do you think it's maybe because people aren't giving them the applause and the attaboys and the instructions and the training that is needed every time there's a setback? Do you think that everybody's just moving the one tent peg in front of them where the tent was wobbling in front of them? The rest of it's wobbling, but it doesn't matter. I'm not facing that way. It's not my section. It's not my job. What do I care if they get wet? Where do you think that's coming from? It's coming from a belief that if I try, it won't work anyway. I tried already. It didn't work. Here I am. I lost my nerve. I lost my joy. I chose the cage. And when I yell, you're not the boss of me, it hasn't occurred to me that you can't opt out of everything, that we have to engage somewhere with some people every day, whether it's in person or virtual. So the question is that I choose you to do this for me. Now I need to vet you. I need to interview you. I need to understand what you're bringing. I need to train you. I need to get you on board and in step with everybody. I choose you. You're on probation until I say my choice was right. When you put an ad saying we're looking for blah, 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 and then walk into the hall and see people and say, oh my gosh, you all showed up. It's so exciting. Okay, you're all hired. Oh, I'm so grateful. You like me. How do we have so many people in the secretarial pool? HR couldn't say no. Excellence is not a popularity contest. Excellence is what happens when you take survival to the next level. Survival is getting by, getting through. Thriving is finding a soft place to land and a genuine reason to say, thank you. And we get to choose. The trouble is, the difficulty is, the challenge is, the opportunity is, nobody's teaching us how. Make a choice. Take a stand. Do you not think I'd have done it if I knew how? Just say no. Just say yes. Okay, I'm standing on a street corner in the rain saying yes for the last 40 minutes, and all I got was pneumonia. Do you have any other advice? And the answer to that question is yes, I do have advice. I do know how this works. I do know that there is a technique. I do know that it is simple and repeatable and easy to learn. The reason it's easy to learn is it is something we do all the time, every day, pre-verbal, subconscious, unconscious, automatic, not to survive, to own, to win, to thrive. The reason we don't do it is because most of us have no idea that we're actually doing it. I know, I learned, I practiced, I teach it, I've taught it. I have people who are successful because of it. A pivot is a turning point event. It's abrupt, it's sudden. It's not a slow slalom. It's not a learning curve. It's a hairpin on a downhill slope, chased by a bear with a cliff at the bottom. That's a pivot. And that's a pivot moment. And when things come along that are urgent, are of greater importance than others, those are pivotal events in our lives. They are going to change things in a big way. So we need to be ready for them. What is it that we bring to meet a pivot? How do we know how to navigate a pivot? How do we know which part of our personality is the best one to use to navigate that fairly painlessly? Which part of me did I bring forward to speak to those people in those banks, to those people on the phone for the last week? Which part of me do I bring forward to talk to lawyers and funeral parlor people and banking people? Which part of me do I bring forward when friends say, we have a surprise for you for your birthday and you're going to love it? Which part of me do I bring forward? They're all me. None of it's fake. It's the part of my personality that they can hear, that makes them feel warm, that makes them feel loved and recognized and respected and heard and valued. I know how to get which part of me is needed. There is a technique. It's not an airy-fairy wave the wand and presto, you are an angel. It's not that. It is an absolutely tangible technique. I've taught it for years. It is highly successful. That is the foundation, the basis of Pivotry in Motion. That is the foundation of all of the training and the tools and the techniques. Last week, I was talking about Diamond Club. And Freddie very reasonably reached out to me on the weekend and said, when is Diamond Club starting? And it was going to start, I was going to get closer to it last week, and then an oven. So my purpose in Diamond Club, for those of you who weren't watching the videos last week, Diamond Club is a group that I'm forming virtually. It'll be also in person. It'll be live. It'll be long distance. It'll be confidential. It'll be one-on-one. It'll be groups. It'll be however it works best. And Diamond Club is going to be where the people who decide to join, to become members, are going to get access to all the tools plus. So all the tools are going to be available that people can learn to use, and then order the supplies from the website when the website is up. They can, come to events and get tickets. They'll be able to get the tickets online. They'll be able to get all the services, all the products online. They'll be able to order sessions with me. It's a business, and it's going to be available in person, on the phone, online, however it works for people who need to know how to get from where they are to where they want to be. So Diamond Club is our nucleus, is our nugget, is our core. And I want this to be a mastermind group where, I'm going to basically be your admin. I'm going to be the one navigating the topics of conversation. What I want to do is I want to create these small ponds that have their own generated ripple effects, where all of us are talking together and creating an outspreading. It's not a coaching program yet. It's not a counseling program yet. What it is it's a conversation program. It's a get together, discuss program, a validation program, a breakout into groups program. And I want to do it. I want to begin by doing a Zoom event on Sunday afternoons, mid-afternoon, a couple of hours. And you'll sign on, you'll get a login, you'll get a link. It won't be a public forum thing yet. And the idea is that we have these conversations where you are able to respond to me and each other more easily in the moment than commenting, and then I see the comment later. And I want us to have this more interactive. So Diamond Club is going to have its beginnings in a couple of weeks. Probably, I'm going to say we'll probably be starting in May, because I just, I lost the last week to this event. And I don't want people saying, well, what about now? What about now? So the idea is we'll start with a Zoom. I'll have a couple of topics that we'll be discussing to get our feet wet, to get ourselves in the process. I am not the tech genius here. So any one of you that is a tech genius, you need to reach out and say, do you want me to help you walk through this? Could I help you with that? Please. We will discuss how that is viable. Okay. So my goal today in this video was to remind you that when we say, please choose me, we give away our power. And my goal today is to say, you never need to do that. When you give away your power to people who don't deserve it, don't respect it, don't understand what you need, and you are hurt, when you do your best and it's not enough, when you get the instructions and they're incomplete, and you feel somehow that that's your fault, that's wrong. It's not your fault. It happens to be what you received. However, what you received is not a measure of your deserve. You deserve the best. And we together are going to make up for all the stuff that wasn't the best, because that was not what you deserved. You do not deserve to feel the outcome of the tent peg effect in a random storm. You do not deserve to be the one left out in the cold, tap dancing as fast as you can to make it right when you didn't get it wrong in the first place. And even if you did, the onus is not solely on you. If you are exhausted, that's okay. If you feel overwhelmed, I'm with you. What do I do when I feel that way? I recognize it. I don't talk about it in the present tense because I don't want to reinforce it, but I write down on a piece of paper, there were events that overwhelmed today. I write down on that piece of paper, I'm going to rest to be ready for tomorrow. The people who talk about the universe and the people who talk about manifesting and the people who talk about the law of attraction, the one thing that is consistent in all the things they talk about, whether you believe in external things, in things you can't see, in influence, in anything like that, there are laws of physics that are true. One of the laws of physics is the law of attraction. What we think about, what we focus on, is what we attract, is what we get. Henry Ford was famously saying, whether you think you can or you can't, you're right. Whether you keep telling yourself you can or you can't, you're cementing it. My objective is to say, this happened today. It left me feeling overwhelmed. My reward is to rest. My reward is to eat. My reward is to say, I am allowed to breathe. I am allowed to just let it gradually subside. If I write it down in my later folder, I won't forget it. I don't have to obsess about it. I don't have to keep saying, and then they did this, and then they did this, and then they did this. I don't have to do that. I can say, this happened. None of those people in that equation, in that tent peg effect experience, did it to me. I wasn't singled out. I experienced the ripple effect of their tent peg process, their indifference, their distraction, their laziness. A friend of mine called it lackluster. I love that. It's a very old-fashioned expression. Lackluster. Yeah, it don't shine. It's dull. They chose dull. They could have chosen shiny. They chose dull. I don't need to blame them. It doesn't do a darn thing for me, and it doesn't do a darn thing for you. And I'm here for me, and I'm here for us. So, Mike, you'd love to help. You are helping. You're showing up. It's brilliant. Freddie, I'm going to miss me on Thursday. Freddie, I will be thinking about you. You can message me anytime, you know that, if you need to talk to me, okay? Okay, so what we are ending with today is an opportunity to talk about our next step. What is our next step? What are we planning to do with the exhaustion? What are we planning to do with, I lived my best life and now it's over? Because, by the way, that's not true. What are we going to do with resetting our acceptable levels? In the movie Midnight Cowboy, Dustin Hoffman played a crippled, homeless, seriously ill panhandler, bum, con artist. He walked with a decided limp. He and John Voight were crossing a street on Fifth Avenue. And this is in the movie. This is the shot in the movie. And there were a bunch of yellow cabs lined up waiting for the light to change. And Dustin's character was a guy named Ratso Rizzo. And Ratso was walking across the street, and he was talking to John Voight's character, the Midnight Cowboy. And he was talking to him, and he was explaining something to him, and he was talking about New York. He was talking about what he was doing. He was talking about how you survive. Accident, complete fluke accident. The stunt driver, and I don't mean stunts like Evel Knievel, but the guy they hired to drive, the people they hired to drive all the yellow cabs weren't yellow cab drivers. They were actors, stunt drivers for that scene. The driver behind the wheel of the cab that was just ahead of Dustin Hoffman as he was walking, his foot slipped off the brake. And the car, he didn't have the other foot on the fuel, so the car didn't lurch forward, but it did move just as Dustin was right in front of it. Here is this homeless, crippled, unwashed, dying man, a mess, the dregs of society, walking in front. The car lurches forward, and he slams his hand on the hood of the car, and he looks at the car, and he says, "I'm walking here," and kept going and kept talking to John Voight. If you don't remember that scene, find it on YouTube and watch it. You know what is fascinating about that? That wasn't in the script. That was not part of the show. It happened. The actor in the character, choosing the personality to present Ratso in the right frame of mind, to own that moment, to be the teacher to this young boy from the country. In that character, in that mindset, in that moment, that Ratso Rizzo responded to that uncalled for sneak attack. Not the hopeless, I'm homeless and could I have a sandwich? I'm walking here, and kept going. And the director said, "Keep it." It's brilliant. A gift from the gods. Dustin Hoffman chose to live in Ratso Rizzo while he was on. Ratso chose to go on the attack. It's a 2,000-pound car. Could have killed him in an instant. And he fought back. And he won. Against all odds, he won. It's a small lesson in a movie full of a lot of lessons. We have that choice. I'm walking here. I may have to sit down a minute. I may need to take a moment. I may need Kleenex to pat my eyes. I may be horrified, exhausted, galvanized, surprised, delighted. I get to be all those things. I get to choose to be all those things. Why? Because they help me know I'm alive. And as far as I'm concerned, alive wins every time. So until next time, I want you, if you're willing, if you're ready, if you think it has value to you, create that later folder that I've talked about. Keep it handy. It doesn't have to be a big one. I have small notebooks, and I always have something in my pocket or my purse so that I can jot down something when it occurs to me. When I'm leaving this room after a video, before I leave the room, I write down what I learned. I write down what I need to remember to do later, and then I can go and I can have a fresh coffee, or I can make some lunch or something. And I don't have to worry that I'm going to forget because I wrote it down, because I'm being good to me. I'm making sure that I dot my I's and cross my T's. I'm doing my very best not to disappoint me or anyone else. I use my letter folder every day, and I write down all the things that I achieved and all the things I'm glad I dealt with, kind of keeping a running score. Is it a journal? I guess so. I don't think of it as a journal, though. I'm not writing a lot of thoughts. I'm keeping myself on track, on point, present and accounted for when all kinds of things are swirling around me. And I invite you to do that too. Doesn't have to be a real letter folder. It can be whatever you want. I'm going to have some other really cool tools once we get this thing going. I think you're going to really enjoy them. And as soon as I know exactly what I'm doing with Diamond Club, I will let you know, and we will get that off the ground. It's going to be really cool, and I'm really looking forward to it. And the other thing is the books are looking amazing, and I have a line on a really great date and place to do the launch and the really cool party that I'm creating to go with the launch. And I can't wait for you to join me at that too. Okay? So until Thursday, you know the drill. Be good to you. Own you. For heaven's sake, own you. And remember to hug your loved ones. They deserve it. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time.